Making sausages with the Kitchenaid Pro 600. Before I go into the details of the ingredients for the sausages, I thought I might just compare the Kitchenaid mincer with my Kenwood mincer. Here's the worm drive of the Kitchenaid and the worm drive of the Kenwood. Immediately you can see that the Kenwood is an all-metal alloy, and it's quite a bit larger than the Kitchenaid mincer. Because it's alloy, it oxidizes and turns funny colours and so on. The cutters, which I've lost at the moment, by the way, are much bigger than the cutters of the Kitchenaid, and the cutters of the Kenwood are solid steel, as in raw black steel, and so they will stay much sharper than the cutters of the Kitchenaid, which are obviously a stainless steel. That in itself will mean that the blades of the Kitchenaid may need sharpening a little bit more than would the iron, the raw steel, black steel of the Kenwood. The Kenwood would be an ideal candidate for a restaurant or something like that, because it's a much larger bore and a much larger mincer. However, the Kitchenaid is ideal for the home, because you don't need to keep the blades and the cutters under oil to stop rust, as you do with the Kenwood. Having said that, everything else is fairly similar. One thing I do notice is that the Kitchenaid has a O-ring on the back here to stop liquids going backwards into the back of the machine where the gearbox is. So over a period of time, that O-ring may need to be replaced. All right, so we'll get away with all of that. The sausage making, I made the pasta, and I dried the pasta, which some chefs say don't dry it, toss it in flour and put it straight in the freezer, because then it's more silky smooth. So that's something to remember. Nearly everybody else dries their pasta, which I did. So I've made the mince using the Kenwood mincer attachment. Worked very well. Again, look after it. Slice up everything fairly fine so that it can get down into this fairly small worm drive. The mincer runs on speed number 4, and so you don't want to put too much pressure on it, and it'll last forever. I mince the meat. I mince the meat with Roma tomatoes, celery, some spring onions, some coriander, and French shallots from India, by the way. And then I mixed in Robusto extra virgin olive oil. This is the best stuff in the world for your breads, your pizzas, everything. The smoked paprika, you can get hot and mild. Stefano bought back some fantastic organic packets of herbs from Italy last year, so we've still been using those. This one is for a pasto al giro and pepperoni, as far as I can see. The award-winning Chinese meat tenderizer, this stuff is fantastic. You could not get a better stuff. This is incredible. There's no preservatives, no colouring, and no MSG. It's purely bromelian enzyme, which is the enzyme from pineapple. It's fantastic in that it's good for the human immune system, and it's also good for anti-allergies. I used some fennel seeds to give a milder flavour. I used some McCormick's brown sugar bourbon marinade to sweeten it up, and I've used some Prague powder or pink salt number 1. This stuff is poisonous, so you have to be careful. I got my sausage casings and the curing powders, number 1 and number 2, from the countrybrewer.com.au. These guys supplied straight to me in Thailand. Fantastic. I'm using this amount for 2.5 kilos. I won't tell you the amount because you need to know exactly how much meat you have and exactly the amount of pink salt or Prague powder that you're going to add. It is really important that you measure this by weight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll put all this back together because I've sterilised it, and after the mincing of the meat, I minced 2.5 kilos of chuck steak with 500 grams of home cured bacon, and I added the Robusco olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, to give it more body and more fat. And so with all of these herbs and spices, I'm now going to use the pork casings that I got from these guys as well, and I'll stuff the sausages and then I'll report back. Okay.